Hey guys, so I had a student ask me a question. He just called me and we just got off the phone. So the question was, on his Glock, he has a Glock 23, this is a Glock 17, but we know the frame size is the same. He asked me, where do I put my finger on this trigger? How should I contact the trigger with my hand? He asked me two things basically, it's a two-part question. One, where do I touch it on the pad or the joint or the tip of my finger? And two, is it okay if I drag my base of my finger on the stock of the pistol? And my answer was this. And now we teach the stress fire system taught by Masada Yu, and he recommends that shooters use the power crease, or in other words, this first joint, the crease of that first joint right in there. Now, basically, that requires placing this joint on the trigger, wrapping your hand around it. What you may find though, is that now the pistol, if I place it properly, is recoiling down my thumb instead of down my arm as I would prefer, right? So what this comes down to now is how do your hands fit the gun and what kind of gun you're using. Here I've got 4 types of guns. I've got the 4 primary types of trigger mechanisms and a couple of frame sizes, and we'll take a look at all of them. So one, the principle is that using the power crease will get you more strength on the trigger, but less dexterity, less precision on the trigger. For a more precision, a lighter trigger, for example a 1911 or precision rifle, you might use the tip of your finger. For a semi-automatic such as this Glock, I would probably recommend placing the pad of your finger, the center of that pad on the trigger. This allows me to wrap my hand fully around the gun, recoiling down the web of my hand while placing the pad of my finger for good dexterity and good strength. Okay, let's try the next platform. Okay, so this is a Smith & Wesson Model 63. It's a double action 22 caliber J frame, small frame revolver that we use for a lot of our classes. Okay, for a 22 caliber revolver, it has a fairly light trigger, and it's a fairly small frame, so women and people with small hands can wrap their hand around it. One of the things that you want to look for is being able to place that crease on the trigger. Place that crease fully on the trigger so that when you cycle, check camber, when you cycle this trigger all the way back, you get maximum amount of strength on that trigger. Okay? Notice that is highly dependent upon how big the grip of the gun is and what kind of grip you have on it and what kind of frame size you have. Alright, so let's look at another one. The Walter PPK S and 380. Very common type of trigger mechanism, double action, single action trigger. Okay? In single action, you notice the trigger, the length of pull is very short. Right there. I'm using the pad of my finger. But now in double action, the trigger pull is very long and very heavy, and if I use the pad of my finger, I have a hard time controlling it. I may not get a good strength and good grasp on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bury my finger all the way tight on that trigger so that under stress I can just mash this trigger down and hold on fully. So when this gun recoils, it's a short gun, it's very snappy under recoil, it's a direct blowback, they have very sharp recoil for how small they are, and I have 10 fingers now holding the gun back under recoil. Same thing, it resets into single action, I'm still using my power crease. Again, if you have small hands, this may not work, so that gets into shopping for a gun and make sure the gun fits your hand size. Okay? So pay attention that when you shop for a gun, place the gun in your hand and see if you can wrap on a double action trigger. You want to get that crease. For ladies with a smaller hand, this PPK type platform may be too big. Even though it looks like a small cute gun, it may not be an appropriate gun for someone of small hands or small stature. Okay, so let's move on again. This is Todd, our student today, and this is his personal firearm, the SIG 938, brand new. It's a very great gun. Okay, it's an excellent gun. It has a very nice single action trigger. It's kind of a medium break, not very heavy, not very light, very firm, very good, with a standard ambidextrous safety, very good on it. Okay, but what you'll find is on this type of trigger, I want to use, if I use my crease, this is okay. Again, it's good as long as my thumb's not too long and not conflicting because it has such a short trigger. I don't want. Now, if I have longer thumbs, such as Todd, would you hold this gun and grip it tight in your hand? Okay, good. Lock this thumb down, bury your finger in there. Let's get 2 hands on it and turn around right here. Okay, now watch, if you bury your finger now, pull the trigger. Okay, it's coming awfully close to getting his thumb in the way. All right, so just check to make sure when you're purchasing your gun, make sure that it fits your finger. For this type of gun, probably what you want to use is the pad of your first finger, because it doesn't take much strength. The pad of that first finger, so that these fingers do not interfere. Okay, and give it a smooth roll, and hold and release. Good. All right, my name is Brian Wang, and we are Brian Wang LLC. We train firearms, self-defense, lethal force, and the full spectrum of pepper spray and everything like that. We're located in the Tampa Bay area, and have a good day. Be safe.